Good evening. We're here on the evening of day 14. Our tireless search and rescue teams have continued their efforts throughout the past day, and we're very grateful that the weather has allowed us to continue the work without any further delays. And through these efforts, we have recovered 8 more victims. So the total number of confirmed deaths is now at 54. 33 of those victims have been identified, and 33 next of kin notifications have been made. At this time, 200 people have been accounted for, and 86 people are potentially unaccounted for. So please join me in praying for those we have lost and those we are mourning. As I've continued to stress, the Miami-Dade Police Department is working continuously to follow up and verify all of the accounts that they've received of people who are potentially missing, and to determine whether each person reported was in fact in the building during the collapse. And our detectives simultaneously are working around the clock to identify those victims we have found in order to notify next of kin. It is with deep, profound sadness that this afternoon I'm able to share that we made the extremely difficult decision to transition from Operation Search and Rescue to recovery. It's now been exactly 2 weeks since Champlain Tower South collapsed, and over the last 14 days, you all know that our search and rescue teams from our local community, from around Florida, from around the country, and in fact around the world, have been digging through this collapse. They've used every possible strategy and every piece of technology available to them to find people in the rubble. They've removed over 7 million pounds of concrete and debris from the mound. They've used sonar, cameras, dogs, heavy machinery. They've searched for void spaces, and they've searched for victims. They ran into a building they were told could collapse, and they braved fire, smoke, torrential rain, and strong winds in the hopes of finding people alive. We demolished the standing building in just days in order to be able to expand access to the full collapse site. Our top priority throughout this entire operation, since day one, has been to do everything possible, everything humanly possible, and to explore every single portion of the collapse grid in search of survivors. I could not be prouder of our extraordinary team, the men and women from here at home and from around the world who've given this search everything they have, day in and day out. Men and women whose own lives are driven by a single purpose: to save the lives of others. At this point, we have truly exhausted every option available to us in the search and rescue mission. So today is about beginning the transition to recovery so that we can help to bring closure to the families who've been suffering and waiting for news. Nothing we can do can bring back those we've lost, but we can and we will do everything in our power possible to identify all of the victims and to offer closure to the families in this time of unimaginable grief. To share this news with the families this evening who are still missing their loved ones was devastating. And it's also difficult to share it with all of you. So many who've been watching around the world, who've joined their prayers to ours, who've held out hope as we have hoped in our hearts and in quiet moments for a miracle. We have all asked God for a miracle. So the decision to transition from rescue to recovery is an extremely difficult one, and one that requires an extremely methodical, arduous, and careful process that looks at specific factors. Chief Kaminsky and Assistant Chief Jadala will speak to all of these in more detail. The transition from rescue to recovery will take place at midnight tonight. Our team has developed a very detailed plan to guide the transition and to ensure that the operations proceed at the same speed and intensity. After today's press briefing at 7:15 p.m., we'll be marking this transition with a moment of silence in front of the building site. With our teams of first responders and faith leaders, the first responders will come off the pile and faith leaders will join us, and we're inviting you as members of the media to witness this ceremony, not as members of the media, but in your capacity as citizens, to mark this solemn moment of transition, and we hope that you will join us there. To the families, to the president, and to the president who said when he visited Surfside, we know that no words can ease your pain, but we are with you, we're here for you in all the ways that we possibly can be. We lift you up, and we hold you up, and we hold you dear in our hearts. To my team, you are heroes who walk among us. This community and the world salute you. We will never forget your bravery, your compassion, and your dedication. So to those watching from around the world, thank you for your endless prayers, your donations, and for wrapping us in your love. It is left for us to honor those we have lost by living every day in love. Thank you and God bless.